Last month, the Lepanto Institute published 2 reports on the Catholic Campaign for Human Development's most favored network called Faith in Action. At issue is active electioneering by Faith in Action's national project called Live Free, calling for the election of Joe Biden and the defeat of Donald Trump, as well as calls for violence and other moral evils from CCHD-funded FIA member organizations. On October 27th, the National CCHD circulated an internal memo that obfuscates the issue and flat out lies about the concerns raised in our reports and Faith in Action's activities. So, we're going to analyze and respond to the CCHD's memo, coming up in this special report of the Lepanto Institute. Formerly called the PICO Network, Faith in Action annually represents one of the largest groups of affiliates receiving CCHD funding. This past year, 29 of Faith in Action's 49 affiliates received CCHD grants totaling over $1.5 million. In 2016, CCHD provided Faith in Action a national grant totaling $500,000. Since the middle of October, we issued 3 detailed reports on Faith in Action, proving beyond any doubt that the organization is participating in open support for professed political candidates and directly promoting grave moral evils. In its memo, the CCHD opens with a bold claim that CCHD does not fund organizations that participate in partisan activities, political campaigns, and/or take stances that promote in any way legislation, propositions, or ballot initiatives that contradict the moral or social teaching of the Catholic Church. But is that true? For a full paragraph, the CCHD explains its long-standing relationship with Faith in Action at both diocesan and national levels. But the real meat of the CCHD defense follows immediately after that. In the next paragraph, the CCHD says this: "In this season of intense political and racial polarization in our nation, FIA and its local affiliates are working to build bridges that help move us toward Dr. King's vision of the beloved community. CCHD has been involved in this important work to address systems and structures that perpetuate the evil of racism since its founding. The suggestion that Faith in Action and its local affiliates are using CCHD funding to engage in partisan activities is false and rooted in a hostile reaction to the call for transformative justice at work in our communities." All right, let's break this down. The CCHD claims that FIA and its affiliates are trying to, quote, build bridges toward Dr. King's vision of the beloved community during this season of intense political and racial polarization in our nation. Really? I suppose applauding riots, calling for rebellions, and the burning of buildings is the CCHD's idea of building bridges. Here's what I mean. On May 30th, Faith in Action affiliate Inland Congregations United for Change reposted a statement by Pico, California's co-director Ben McBride, referring to the burning of the Minneapolis police headquarters as God speaking to Moses from the burning bush, quote, on his way to confront empire. Inland Congregations United for Change received a $75,000 grant from the CCHD this past year, and Pico, California is the regional affiliate network of 13 Faith in Action affiliates. Let's take a closer look at Pico, California's co-director Ben McBride for a moment. Remember that CCHD said in its statement that it has been involved in Faith in Action's work to fight racism since its beginning, which is ironic when you consider what I'm about to show you. On May 28th of this year, the CCHD-funded Faith in the Valley San Joaquin reposted a video McBride made wherein he uttered a racial slur calling the United States government the Jew-United States government while quoting the anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan. Listen to this.
And I wish anybody would tell me, I don't need to obey this United States government. United States government? This government is a sham. It is wicked. It has never done anything for black people. It is a lying country. Like Minister Farrakhan said, the Republican Party is nothing but a racist mafioso system. Man, that Republican Party is a racist system. And if there's anybody on here and you think the Republican Party is not a racist system because you think they care about life and you've allowed yourself to get organized around the abortion issue, we should have that conversation. Because you should really ask yourself, why is it that they want to fight for a life to be born and try to take control of a woman's body, and then once that life is born, they don't give a damn about what happens to that life. You can kill that black life, you can rape that black life, you can incarcerate that black life, but they want to do everything to get that black life here so they can rape it, incarcerate it, shoot it, beat it, and accuse it, and call the police on it. You know, you're not pro-life. They believe in capital punishment. You ain't pro-life. And if you tripped out about the riot, it's not a riot. It is a rebellion. It is an uprising. Stop using the oppressor's language and calling black people who resist white supremacy and use as a tactical action the burning down of an establishment owned by white people as somehow act of violence. It is a rebellion. It is uprising. You know what the violence is? The violence is what that white officer did to George Floyd.
Is this what CCHD considers building bridges? On May 28th, McBride called the organized riots in Minnesota a rebellion. On May 27th, McBride demanded that people stop calling for black people to be peaceful. Does the CCHD believe that this is the beloved community Martin Luther King had in mind? As it stands, it's clear that this organization is not what the CCHD portrayed it as, and we haven't even gotten started into the more serious charges. After painting a rosy picture of Faith in Action, the CCHD said this: "The suggestion that Faith in Action and its local affiliates are using CCHD funding to engage in partisan activities is false and rooted in a hostile reaction to the call for transformative justice at work in our communities. These allegations towards Faith in Action do not reflect any systematic pattern of problematic behavior, but rather highlight a few regrettable instances of lines being blurred between Faith in Action's Live Free initiative and the Black Church PAC, a 501c4 organization with no formal ties to FIA." Okay, time out. Whether this is a systematic pattern of problematic behavior is completely immaterial. CCHD said earlier in this same memo, and I quote, "CCHD does not fund organizations that participate in partisan activities." So in order for this claim to be true, it makes no difference whether the partisan activities took place once, twice, or 100 times. If CCHD does not fund organizations that are involved in partisan activities, then Faith in Action must be dumped. Now, that said, let's take a closer look at what CCHD calls a few regrettable instances of lines being blurred between Faith in Action's Live Free initiative and the Black Church PAC, and that there are no formal ties between the two. Michael McBride is Faith in Action's Director of Urban Strategies and the Live Free Project. He is also one of the founders of the Black Church PAC. Despite the Black Church PAC's official endorsement of the Biden-Harris ticket for president in the 2020 election, as well as 12 other Democrat candidates, the Live Free Project's Facebook page is full of posts promoting the Black Church PAC. In fact, an August 16 press release shows that Live Free and Black Church PAC were formal partners in the live streaming of Black Church PAC political events promoting Democrat Party candidates. In fact, Live Free co-sponsored the August 18 event wherein Michael McBride was the moderator. But the relationship between Black Church PAC and Live Free doesn't end there. Faith in Action posted a fundraising appeal on the website called The Battery. This appeal was for the creation of a Live Free Project voter registration program called Rebuilding Our Collective Strength, or ROCS, which will register, educate, and mobilize 1 million low-propensity and active voters from religious congregations, justice-impacted families, and historically black colleges and universities. And here at the bottom of the campaign page, you can see the Live Free Project director and co-founder of Black Church PAC, Michael McBride. Live Free's Rocks Online program encourages people to, quote, complete the form below to learn your voter eligibility, receive updates, and more information about voting in your state. But the more interesting part is in the fine print at the bottom, which says, quote, by providing your cell phone number, you agree to receive calls and texts from Rocks Online and its partner organizations about civic engagement. Guess who owns the domain Rocks Online? The Black Church PAC. When the director of an official project of faith in action is a co-founder of a political action committee, and he uses the project's social media platform as a vehicle for promoting the political action committee, and creates and promotes a program that signs people up for the political action committee's campaign list, it's safe to say that these are not just a few blurred lines with no formal ties to that political action committee. The truth is, Faith in Action's Live Free project is deeply involved in a political action committee. But our report wasn't just about Live Free's relationship with the Black Church PAC. Live Free was, itself, promoting political candidates and calling for the defeat of President Donald Trump. On October 11, Live Free retweeted direct calls for the funding of Gary Peters, the Democrat senator from Michigan. On October 4th, Faith in Action's Live Free project retweeted a call for people to, quote, vote as if Biden is down 27%, which is essentially a call for votes for Biden. On October 5th, FIA's Live Free project retweeted a false claim that Trump's campaign is engaged in voter suppression. On October 6th, Faith in Action's Live Free project retweeted a call to have, quote, Trump removed from power, while claiming, quote, we are at war with Putin. On September 10, Pico, California retweeted Michael McBride's call to raise funds to, quote, defeat Trump. An August 8th Facebook post by CCHD-funded Faith in the Valley San Joaquin called for, quote, ensuring we get Trump out and our freedom in. And if that wasn't enough, another of Faith in Action's top brass joined in the call for the Democrat victory in November of 2020. Faith in Action's Director of National Policy is Bishop Dwayne Royster. He is also Faith in Action's Northeast Regional Director, so he represents Faith in Action's regional and national policy decisions. Democrat candidates for the 2020 presidential election participated in the We the People Summit. Royster gave the opening remarks at the summit, kicking off the day's events. The April 1st, 2019 We the People Summit was a town hall meeting for Democrat candidates hosted by Planned Parenthood. Royster called for a round of applause for Planned Parenthood Action Fund's Executive Director, Kelly Robinson.
Come on, can we celebrate Anna Maria and Kelly for their great leadership this morning? Oh, you all can do better than that. If you can't make more noise than that, we won't win in 2020.
Meaning victory for Democrats. He also professed a revolutionary vision that
women have the right to control the destinies of their own bodies, no one else. In the intersection of all of our demands that have been lifted up, women's rights and workers' rights, racial justice and reproductive justice, as we are coming in this place to be able to lift up the ability to have control and destiny over all our communities, at the intersection of all of this is our liberation, is our freedom, and is our hope for a better tomorrow.
So not only is FIA's National Policy Director opening a partisan political event calling for a Democrat victory in November, he specifically and directly endorsed the Democrats' pro-abortion agenda. Again, CCHD is claiming that there's no formal relationship between Faith in Action and the Black Church PAC, and there is, and that there were a few blurred lines that did not reflect a systematic pattern of problematic behavior. And as I just pointed out, CCHD completely ignored the other promotions of political candidates and the call for Trump's defeat. And still, it doesn't end there. The CCHD then claims that Faith in Action has swiftly responded and has acted to address these few instances and to prevent similar missteps in the future. So, what CCHD is claiming is that Faith in Action made sure that they would not engage in future partisan political activity. Now remember, this memo was published on October 27th, and Faith in Action couldn't even make it 2 weeks without directly promoting and helping to fundraise for Democrat candidates in Georgia. On November 6th, Live Free retweeted a call to support Democrat senatorial candidates Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. On November 8th, Live Free retweeted a call for support and fundraising for these Senate races in Georgia. Also on November 8th, Live Free retweeted an endorsement for Warnock that links directly to his fundraising page. On November 10th, Live Free posted yet another all-hands-on-deck call for fundraising for both Warnock and Ossoff. Again on November 10th, Live Free retweeted another call for partisan fundraising. So much for Faith in Action's promise to prevent similar missteps in the future. The CCHD memo then says that it, quote, has long supported and will continue to support this important work of Faith in Action and its local affiliates, indicating that, according to the CCHD, none of the evidence that we've shown you constitutes a major breach in CCHD guidelines. And speaking of guidelines, the memo then says Catholics can be confident that the Catholic Campaign for Human Development does not fund organizations that violate the moral and social teaching of the Church. CCHD requires of each grantee the highest standards of accountability and conformity with the moral and social teaching of the Catholic Church. Any departure from this irrevocable commitment would lead to immediate termination of funding support. So, any departure from conformity with the moral and social teaching of the Church would constitute an immediate and irreversible termination of funding. Like this retweet of Planned Parenthood calling Amy Coney Barrett a threat to women's health and democracy because she's pro-life, or this retweet fear-mongering that, quote, they are coming for your birth control and IVF. How about this retweet indicating that women's reproductive rights shouldn't be dictated by anyone's religious beliefs? On July 1st of this year, Faith in Action member Inland Congregations United for Change, remember they got a CCHD grant, posted on Facebook an image of its logo superimposed on a rainbow flag, stating, as Pride Month comes to a close, we would like to let all our LGBTQIA+ community know ICUC stands with you 365 days a year in the fight for equality. On November 23rd, Live Free tweeted a waving transgender flag saying, in case you didn't know where we stand, with the hashtag Trans Day of Remembrance. Everything we just showed you is what are known as self-evident truths, meaning you don't have to reason your way through to a conclusion. The information is true just on the face of it. Faith in Action's direct involvement in electioneering on behalf of Democrat politicians is undeniable. Its formal relationship with the Black Church PAC is clear. Its support and promotion of abortion, contraception, and homosexuality is plain for all to see. And yet, the CCHD in this memo is telling people that our reports on this matter are false. There are only two kinds of people who deny self-evident truths: those who are insane and those who are liars. Unless the CCHD wishes to enter an insanity plea, you can pretty much guess which one they are. For the Lepanto Institute, I'm Michael Hitchborn.